One of the things that really pisses me off about the whole Bitcoin thing is you've got sort of three groups of people. You've got a group that knows what they're on about, and then you've got a group of people who are trying to find out about Bitcoin, what the group about those who know they're on about have to say. But you've also got this third group, which is a group of people that think they know what they're on about. And unfortunately, many of today's presenters covering all manner of topics have built up a huge following over the years. And the whole algorithm thing on YouTube and Google and elsewhere encourages content producers, so YouTube channel creators, webmasters, podcasters, but this issue mainly surrounds YouTube, to keep producing new content. And the more new content they produce, the more YouTube sees their channels active, the more videos get put in front of people, the more subscribers get to watch videos, and the more new people get to see these videos, and the more the channel grows. That's the theory. So while this is good in one aspect, it also causes problems on the other end of the scale. And these problems are, it encourages content creators to create content about topics they know very little about. And why is that? Well, YouTube or Google or whoever doesn't care whether your content's accurate or not, as long as it doesn't defame the deep state. And people clicking in, oh look, here's a video about Bitcoin, it gives no idea on how accurate that information is. And so you might think, well, it's easy, I'll know it's accurate because it'll have a good rating or it'll have a bad rating. Unfortunately, this isn't so. If you have 500 people attending a lecture on Bitcoin, and these 500 people know next to nothing about Bitcoin, if the presenter gets up there, stands up nicely, sounds nice, looks nice, and says a few fancy words, it doesn't matter how far off the mark he is when it comes to Bitcoin, those 500 people are going to lap it up. And then they're going to say, oh, thank you so much for clearing that up. I'd always wondered how it worked and you've just made it sound so simple, and yeah, I get it now. Problem is, he may have got it all wrong. And many of the big YouTubers, often in the truther community, speak about Bitcoin and they know very little about it. And I'm not suggesting they're malevolent when it comes to this. I don't think they are. I think they're encouraged to create content, which they do. And as they're creating this content, they are making mistakes by repeating what other people have said who also didn't know very much. And of course, somewhere way down the line, you had somebody who either made something up or who deliberately twisted something, or whose own irrational fears on an issue became so overwhelming that they projected this into Bitcoin, and a bit like Chinese whispers, it was repeated and distorted and repeated and distorted, and the guy at the end who was under pressure to come out with new content didn't have time to do hours and hours of research, but he did have time to listen to what somebody else said, and he just rehashed it and regurgitated it, got 100,000 views, and took the ad revenue. I mean, unfortunately, that's how a lot of YouTubers become. So those people who are trying to put these people straight in the comments section or via a message get knocked back in a couple of ways, which is they're either ignored, because when somebody's getting hundreds of thousands of views a week, if not more, millions, do you really think they've got time to go through all the messages they get? And then number two, if they comment about it in the videos, you have whoever the channel creator is, their loyal following will jump on you as being some kind of a troll or a hater or a Putin agent or a paid CIA troll or something. And it's not none of that. You're just trying to put right a situation where somebody's got something so wrong. And the only way to overcome it, I believe, is to do what I'm doing, which is to create your own video on Bitcoin or whatever your topic of speciality happens to be. And rather than just saying what you think or what you know, you of course, say those things, but then you provide an explanation of why you're saying it and put forward the evidence, the information, the facts, the figures, the code, the images, whatever, the documentation, the financials to support the conclusions that you've come to. Because many people, unfortunately, in today's world, don't have time to study and research and go to the lengths and depths that many of the researchers that we have can do and do. So when we're putting out information, there's going to be a few different audiences that potentially listen to that. And obviously, in this case, they're going to be people who want to find out about Bitcoin. But some of those, a very small number, are already going to know about it. The overwhelming majority won't do. But there's also going to be a few other people potentially listening. Some of them are just curious about the channel. Some of them are disinformation agents that are going to look to stir something up. Some of them are going to be incapable of understanding Bitcoin, no matter how clear you put it, because they struggle in understanding many things. And some people are going to understand what you say right off the bat. Some are going to doubt what you say no matter how much evidence you provide, because they are skeptical about everything to the point that it's irrational. Some of the people that you listen to are going to be so gullible that because they heard something else before they heard you that differed, they're going to think you're wrong. And some people are going to think you're right about this issue, and therefore you know what you're on about, and therefore you're right about every other issue after that. And herein lies the problem. I might be great about Bitcoin and understand it. That doesn't mean I understand about car engines very well. So if somebody listens to me on the Bitcoin front thinks, yeah, he's great, and then I make another video next week about car engines because, well, I've done Bitcoin to death and I need some new content, and people are starting to come in, and the numbers and the views and the likes and, the ad revenue's coming in, but I just need to top it up a bit. So I do a video on the car engine. I don't really know what I'm talking about. There's some fuel here and pistons and explosions and bang and that. And I start to think, well, I don't really know this and that, but who cares? I'm just going to ad-lib it and make it a bit up and hope nobody notices. The people who heard my Bitcoin video today who thought, yeah, that was bang on, that was absolutely right, all makes sense, it was all explained, all the facts, it all just fitted together nicely, I understand it. They listen next week about the engine because they assume I know it. But I don't. I've got my specialities, the areas that I know a little bit, and then those that I know nothing at all. But I don't have the right to talk about areas where I know a little bit as though I'm some sort of authority on it, where I'm not 100% sure on the issues that I'm talking about. I've hardly done any research on the issues that I'm talking about. But I've got 100,000, 1 million followers who trust what I say because they heard a few things way back when that were accurate, and they're now carrying that trust forward, and I'm abusing it. And there is the problem. We cannot teach people to be better researchers or better at understanding or more careful when listening or better at discerning and dissecting information about what's true, what's a lie, what's a good attempt but wrong, and just downright bullshit. That is something that somebody can only do when they're ready to do that, when they understand they need to do that, and they go to the lengths required to do so. If you start trying to teach that in front of every video about any topic you make, it's going to upset people. It's something they have to do themselves. In the meanwhile, YouTube presenters, podcasters, and all manner of other people can at least try and stick to the area of their expertise, and if they perhaps don't know, then have a guest on and speak to the guest who knows about whatever the topic may be. Because then at least you're not putting out anything wrong. You're trying to find out from a third party who as long as you've checked their credentials, will be good.